Hello everyone, welcome to this edition of MeteoMark's Weather. It's great to have you here with me today. We're going to be looking at our weather. We do have some big changes now because previously the last couple days to a week, it looks like things were trending colder across the east. However, we've seen a big change today. We're going to take a look at the upper air pattern. We may see more in the way of severe weather than anything, but on that northern fringe, we're still going to see some heavy wet snowstorms. And we'll also take a look at the tropics here across the Caribbean, Central America, and the Western Atlantic. We'll see which areas could see the heaviest rainfall, and we'll look at those sea surface temperatures as we get ever closer to hurricane season. Let's get into it. So looking at our NAM 3 kilometer, our future radar here. So yeah, we're going to see some kicking off of some wet snow off the lakes behind this area of convection that moves to the east. Nothing too terribly heavy, but nevertheless, we'll get some beneficial rains. There are going to be some wet snowflakes, especially in the Poconos and Catskills on the back side of this. Thankfully, it's not going to amount to really too much. The ground is way too warm. And yeah, it ends as a period of snow. These higher elevations may get a couple inches, especially the White Green Mountains, Berkshires. But for the most part, it's going to be a quick ending as this system pulls off the coast. So as we continue to go through time here, as we get into early Saturday evening, I should say, we're going to kick off a wet start to the weekend here across northern Ohio, Indiana, and eventually parts of New York State. Now, the highlands here of southwestern New York and northwest Pennsylvania start off, you're going to get some wet snowflakes mixed in. But most of the valley locations here are going to be rain as we stretch into Saturday afternoon. May end as a period of wet snowflakes here in parts of the interior northeast. But that quickly, we get some lake enhancement in our next system out here into the Midwest. Now let's look at our wind speed analysis here as we head into Thursday night into early Friday. Thankfully, it looks like most of the heaviest winds are going to be in the 30 to 40 mile per hour range. We're not looking at anything close to 50 or 60 here into the northeast. Now, I just wanted to show you this. Look at this wind pattern flaring up across the plains, although it's very common. Look at that. We're getting towards 60, 65 mile per hour gusts here across parts of the central plains. Now, as watch as we head into the weekend here, this is early Saturday morning. Look at the north coast here of Ohio towards Lake Erie. This is where you could get all the way down to the low 40s for gusts here, and then heading on into the northeast. Thankfully, it does kind of fizzle out for the most part as it moves off the coast. So as we continue to move through here on the GFS model, and then we'll look at the European model. There's that system pulling up in the northeast I showed you on our future radar, and then our weekend system here pulling through the northeast with some scattered shower activity. That kind of blows up off the coast well out to sea. Our next system here, the 23rd, look at this. Later Sunday afternoon, winding up across parts of the upper Midwest. That's where we're going to see a lot of snowfall. Now, this is going to push rainfall, and I'll show you on the Euro. We might have some convective type elements here in southern Ohio towards Pittsburgh. But look at on the northern fringe. We might see a period of heavy wet snow quickly changing over to rain as this system pulls out of the Great Lakes and a secondary low tries to develop just off the coast. But at this point, this system is not looking as wintry as it once was. Now, as we continue through the 25th into the 26th, you can see some scattered snow showers. So that looks a bit wintry, especially some lake enhancement. Maybe the central Appalachians here getting some heavy wet snowflakes flying. But here we go. As we go through the 26th into the 27th, we get an overrunning scenario here. So you can kind of see just north of this warm front, maybe some wet snowflakes in the northern tier of Pennsylvania into upstate New York. We'll watch this into the 27th, into the 28th, but this run is looking much weaker with a lot shallower cold air, a lot more warm air. High pressure building in behind it. Now, we're going to start off with quite a moisture plume on the southwest part of this high, just off the Gulf. It's going to get the rainfall really brewing here from San Antonio up to Houston. Watch out. This could be the start of our big severe weather outbreak. This is going to be one heck of a system here, the 29th. I would watch out for severe weather from the western Gulf Coast all the way up into the Ohio Valley maybe into parts of the northeast as well, because now we're going to see a massive southerly flow on the southwest part of this high pressure system. And look at that. That's going to move through the northeast. You bet that's probably going to be a lot of wind with that system here. So we're going to have to watch that possibility here as the system pulls off the coast, maybe ending as a period of wet snow on the backside of it on March 30th in the early morning hours. But look at that. It's a fast mover. It doesn't linger, and we're not seeing that blocking up here in Greenland to stop these systems. So we're just going to zoom these systems along. April 1st, that system was looking really wintry across the Ohio Valley, Midwest, and Northeast. Now, it still is in some areas. You can see this heavier snow breaking out on the north side of it as we continue, but it's continuing to inch that rain-snow line much further to the north into northern New England here. And that pulls up towards New Brunswick and Nova Scotia. I'll be getting into your snowfall amounts, Canadian snowfall amounts, because it could be a blockbuster time for snow in Canada. But look at this as we head through the last few frames here. Yeah, we've got a coastal here, but it's going out to sea. Here's our next system right around the 5th. It looks like more severe weather heading to the mid-Atlantic here and to parts of the south. So looking at the European run here, you can see as we head into the weekend here, Saturday morning, we get some rain showers moving across parts of the Ohio Valley. Let's just back this up a little bit. You can see it's going to move through eastern Ohio, Cleveland area, Buffalo, and then eventually into the northeast here, northern New England. That's a very light system. So yeah, it looks like your Saturday is going to be a little wet here across parts of the northeast. And then look at our next system approaches Sunday. It's mostly going to be a rain event. You can see some mixed precipitation here, Cleveland to Erie, briefly on the northern edge Sunday evening. But look at this, convection further south into southern Ohio, all the way down south here across the southern states. We could have some severe weather here as well. Now, let's take a look here. We're going to continue through this long range. We get these storms, showers, and some embedded thunderstorms up in the northeast. That low pulls to the east. This makes way for our area of low pressure across the Appalachians. It's a little bit moisture starved at first, but you start to see it try to go coastal on us ever so slightly here. And things do start to fill in as colder air is pulled down on the west side of this. So it looks like we could be seeing some heavy wet snow trying to develop here. And we'll get into those snowfall amounts momentarily as this tries to wind up into the northeast and eventually the Canadian Maritimes. Now you can see with the isobars here and the area of high pressure, we got a trough up here into the northeast. That's going to continue to pull out. We get these systems pulling up and on the west side of this high. So this is a change in this model. It looks like, this is going to be more of a rain type system. Now, as we get through the 31st into the 1st, look at this. This storm, which was trending further south before, is now trending further north. So you can see it moving from the plains into the Mississippi River Valley. It's that northern fringe is where we're going to see that heavy snow, potential blizzard type conditions here on the west side. And look at this. That would be a massive squall line here on April 2nd here, moving right through Ohio and into western Pennsylvania and New York. Look at that, all the way down south here. So the models have flipped on us a bit here from previous video I showed you. And look at this. This would bring severe thunderstorms all the way into New England, all the way to the East Coast here, the Outer Banks, and then the next system pushing in from the west. So, yeah, we're going to take a look at our upper air pattern here in a couple minutes, but things are looking less troughy in the east, less cold air, at least on these runs today. And here we are with our liquid equivalent precipitation here. This takes us through early next week. You can see southern Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, through southwestern Pennsylvania, into parts northeast. That's where we could be seeing some areas 3/4 to 1.5 inches. Now we go out longer term here. You can see all the way through the end of the month. There it is, the 30th. And then we get into that first week of April here. Look at this across the east. This is where we're getting into these red areas, even some yellow areas across the Catskills here. That's, 2.5, 4 inches, and locally higher here across parts of the south. There's San Antonio area of Texas up towards 4 to 6 inches of rain. And here's our European run. Let's take a look at this. So that's our system kicking off the coast. And watch this as we go through time into the weekend, into early next week. You can see a generalized quarter to a half an inch with these purple areas getting up towards closer to an inch. Now here we go through the 29th. European is going a little bit lighter on precipitation, but look at this. Further to the north, as we head into that first week of April, the GFS has been playing catch up here with the Euro and pushing this heavier band of precipitation further to the north, which would promote a warmer scenario here. So this band of heavy rain to the north and on the northern fringe of it, heavy wet snow, that's where we'll be looking at rainfall amounts in excess of 2 to 4 inches. And let's take a look at snowfall amounts here, mostly up in Canada initially here. We pretty much lost our system here for Thursday night into Friday, so a lot of you can breathe a sigh of relief here. It's just going to be too warm and not enough moisture on the backside of the system. We get a few inches here into the higher elevations early next week. You can see we've kind of pulled a lot of these snowfall totals further to the north into northern New England, the northern upper Midwest. This is quite a massive change. So this is a very confusing weather pattern we're in. We're getting a lot of different signals. We're going to look at our polar vortex, see if that's actually really materializing with the split and pieces of it breaking off. But look at this. This takes us all the way through April 4th. Previous runs had the snow line way far to the south. Look how far to the north it is now. And GFS model here playing catch up with the European run. You can see as we head through early next week, we're void of a lot of snow. It's mainly interior sections, eastern Great Lakes, northern Midwest, upstate New York into northern New England. That's where, especially elevation-wise. But look at this. We head all the way through April 3rd here. Yes, the GFS still has some significant snow across parts of upstate New York, central and northern New England. However, the trend has been with the Euro and bringing that line further to the north, even a few inches down in through the Appalachians here. But if this trend continues, we may not be looking at too many more chances of snow here, which was completely the opposite of what we seen just a few days ago. All right, so let's look at the changes we got going on with our upper air pattern here. It's going to be interesting because we're going to see, still a lot of storminess. So we're going to see these little troughs push through, but they're not mega troughs. So we're not going to get those massive storms, although on the southern ends of these storms, we're going to have to watch out for some big-time severe weather, especially as we head towards the end of the month. You can see this is pretty persistent next week with this troughiness. Now, right around the 29th, 30th, we get this big ridge here according to the European run. So we'll have to watch a big warm-up towards the end of the month. This is completely the opposite of what we saw a couple days ago on the models, and then it forces these storm systems from the plains and out west to ride up the west side of this trough. It's going to bring all that tropical moisture northward and that severe weather on the east side of this with another ridge building in right around April 4th. And taking a look at our GFS here, you can see these troughs moving through the east once again. Let's get to the end of the month here. There's that ridge that the European was hinting at. And a few of these troughs, the base of the troughs clip parts the northeast, but you get the idea. These trends are warmer with a bit more stormier across the east. That means we're going to see more opportunities for heavy rain and severe weather and heavy wet snow on the northern fringe of those systems. And the NAO index here, we're going to just kind of bounce around between neutral and slightly positive here, maybe between like 0 and 0.5 here on the scale. So nothing too terribly earth-shattering here. And here we go with the MJO index. You can see as we start off here in phase 4 and we propagate towards 5, 6, and 7 as we head through at least through the better part of March into early April here. Now watch out, because as we get towards, say, the mid part of April onward, we could start to get towards a more active phase as we head towards phase 8 and to 1. So ultimately, it's going to come down to this polar vortex thing as well. You can see it's over northern Europe. It is getting much weaker this time of year. But right around the 28th, look what we do start to see here. See these colder colors? There is a piece of it. It kind of splits a little bit, and it heads across the northern part of North America here. Now, as we head through the end of the month, you do see some colder colors here that are trying to mix in. But at that point, it just washes out. And on this run, yeah, it's there, but it's in a much weaker state. So you see a lot more warmer colors here, these more orangish colors. That's kind of hinting to us that the polar vortex is pretty much getting to the point where it's almost on its way out. And Robert from the Jamestown, New York area on this past Wednesday. Take a look at this. Some nice grilling action, some chicken, and he was going to do some hamburger as well. Grilling out there, 73 degrees with gusty winds. Yeah, the winds were howling, but still nice and warm. Look at that beautiful sun. You can see the smoke from the grill, that chicken, and then his hamburger that he's going to grill after the chicken. Must have been nice. Remind you of summertime. Nice captures there, Robert. And before we continue with your tropical update here, coming up in just a moment, if you made it this far in the video and you like it, smash that like button, everyone. It really does help. Question or comment down below. I'd love to read your questions or comments. And don't forget, if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe bell notification button so you're alerted with all my future weather video updates, especially as we enter hurricane season. Let's continue. All right, so let's take a look at the Caribbean, the tropics, the Western Atlantic. Let's see what we got going on. The GFS first here. That's a quiet start. Let's take a look at the European here momentarily. But look at this. As we head through Saturday, you can see this big ball of moisture down towards Costa Rica, Panama. This is with the low pressure here down towards Colombia. So it's going to spin up some showers around it. You can see the periphery of this moisture moving through the central Lesser Antilles up through Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic region, even an area up towards the Bahamas here. We have a boundary, and then high pressure over here south of Bermuda. So as we go through the 24th into the 25th, yeah, it's not too terribly heavy. This is going to be a quiet time for you. Jamaica over to Cancun, Dominican Republic, and then through the 25th and the 26th, we're going to start to watch this tropical moisture here across South Florida, the Eastern Gulf, the Bahamas, really start to entrain across the Bahamas. So it's going to be really wet times. We're going to get these systems that kind of resemble maybe a little bit subtropical, not quite yet. But as we head through the 27th to 28th, I have to say the GFS is a little bit more tepid here than the European I'm about to show you. But through the 28th and the 29th, you do see those showers organizing across the north central part of the Caribbean, right over the Dominican Republic, especially the higher elevations. But much of the Dominican Republic, this will be a rainy time for you as we get towards the end of the month. Now, as we head through the 30th into the 31st, you see those showers really start to crop up. Look at the Gulf here. Also, showers and thunderstorms across Honduras, Belize, and the Yucatan Peninsula here. We'll continue to watch it. Got these systems out just southeast of Bermuda. And then look at this. Showers continuing across parts of Dominican Republic, Haiti, through April 2nd into the 3rd. I'll tell you, rainy times are ahead as this tropical moisture entrains into an East Coast area of low pressure. So we'll have to watch it here. It could get kind of heavy around Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, southeastern Bahamas. And look what starts to happen around the 5th here. We get a surge of tropical moisture from Colombia, Venezuela area. This gets entrained up into this front, and it could come right across Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, and eventually the Lesser Antilles. All right, so let's take a look at the European model here in the tropics. This is thanks to Tropical Tidbits. As usual, let's take a look. Compare it to our GFS run I just showed you. And look at this. As we head through the weekend, you can see where the axis of heaviest precipitation is going to be here from the rain all the way from Panama, Costa Rica area, all the way up southeast of Jamaica, south of Dominican Republic, and right through the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico here. Now watch that pinwheel to the north and to the west. We're seeing this in response to a disturbance, this area of low pressure across Colombia. That's going to fan out this moisture further to the north and the west here. So watch that. It's going to focus some showers Sunday across Dominican Republic, Jamaica, over towards the northeast coast of Honduras and Nicaragua, Puerto Rico as well. And as we head through Monday into Tuesday of next week, you can see what's going to be happening. We got an area of thunderstorms across the central Gulf. That's going to head towards the northwestern Caribbean here. And that's going to weaken a little bit. But ultimately, what you can see happening here, our axis of heaviest precipitation just continues here with the rainfall from Central America all the way through the north central Caribbean islands here. We get these complexes of showers and thunderstorms moving from the Gulf down through the Cayman Islands here in Jamaica. This is where we're going to see the heaviest rain really start to pile up across Jamaica the middle of next week. You can see these heavier showers and thunder showers moving through all the way to the north coast of Honduras. And you can see these organized bands just moving towards the west, towards the Yucatan. But ultimately, you can see the pattern here. We get this axis of heaviest precipitation through here. Look at this mess down and through parts of Panama, Costa Rica, Colombia area. There's just a lot of tropical moisture to deal with in this region. And look at the Gulf. It just keeps forming these big complexes of thunderstorms. They continue to pinwheel to the south, and some of these could pack a punch. So watch out as they move towards the Cayman Islands and Jamaica here through the 31st. You can see the north central Caribbean all the way through the Lesser Antilles, especially the central Lesser Antilles, really getting pummeled with rain here. Hate to say it, but with Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Haiti, through Jamaica. This is the trouble spot as we head into April 1st. And into the 2nd, into the 3rd, all the way through the Turks and Caicos here. We get a cold front moving across the Eastern Gulf, but ultimately, it looks very, very moist for this time of year as we head into the first week of April here. Look at this. This is a tremendous amount of rain. This almost looks like a tropical wave here, moving just to the north of Dominican Republic. We'll keep an eye on it here. Looking at our sea surface temperature anomalies, this is crazy. We're a little more than 70 days out from hurricane season. You can see across the Western Atlantic, the Caribbean in particular through the Gulf, we are looking about 1.5 to as much as 3 degrees above average here. And here we go with total liquid equivalent precipitation here. We're looking at least through early next week. You can see, as usual, we have the axis of the heaviest precipitation moving from parts of Belize, Honduras, Nicaragua, all the way over to Jamaica, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Haiti, these areas. But it's not too terribly heavy. That's the great news here. Now, as we head through the middle to latter part of next week, things start to moisten up as we head towards that first week of April. Let's stop right there. Look what's going on. So we're seeing less rain across Central America. Belize and Honduras here still seeing close to 30 to 60 millimeters on average. But it's right here, the southern part of the Cayman Islands, and particularly Jamaica. Look at this. Parts of Jamaica could be seeing close to 70 to 110 millimeters of rainfall here. Over to the island of Hispaniola, both Haiti and Dominican Republic. Some of these areas could see close to 60 to as much as 100 millimeters of rainfall. Not widespread, but not everywhere, but those areas where the rainfall focuses here, especially the higher elevations. And over towards Puerto Rico, you're looking at about 3/4 to 1.5 inches, close to 2 inches on average here. Look at much of the southern Bahamas as well. You're really picking up a lot around Cuba. And even towards Cancun here, getting a little wet towards 70 millimeters. And as we head towards the Eastern Caribbean here, look at that axis of heaviest precipitation here over the next 4 to 5 days, moving through Jamaica, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico. Nothing more, though, than, say, 13 to 30 millimeters on average. The big stuff really starts to move in after the 29th, 30th, and then we get into that first week of April. Look at that. There's those red areas with a few clusters of yellow here. You can see the scale down here, 70 to 110 millimeters on average. Now, the Lesser Antilles, Trinidad, Tobago, you're going to eke out probably 40 to 60 millimeters, but look at here in the central part of the Lesser Antilles. That's where I think you could see closer to 70, maybe as much as 90 millimeters. Isolated areas closer to 100 millimeters. And here we go with our Canadian weather outlook here. We're going to start off with a very active weather pattern. You can see as we head through the 21st into the 22nd, we get into the weekend, we could be looking at some heavy wet snow into New Brunswick, southern Ontario, on the backside of this system. This is another system moving through, mainly rain for Ottawa down to London and Toronto, but some wet snowflakes here north of Quebec City, and that heading up towards the northeast, towards the Canadian Maritimes. Now watch this next system. We got these systems here along the west coast of Canada, British Columbia. Those are going to be huge, 60 centimeters plus of snow. But watch this system. It's like a little clipper, only it looks a little stronger. It's a 996 millibar low, and that's going to promote some showers, snow shower action, maybe enough for warm air rain here for Toronto up to Ottawa. More snow here in New Brunswick, over to Newfoundland, Prince Edward Island. And watch this. let's take a look at this pattern that sets up. It's really quiet around the 26th. We get another Pacific system moving in. A few of these systems rounding the bend. There's some light systems from Quebec all the way up here into the Canadian Maritimes. Now watch this system push across Western Ontario towards the 28th. This is where we really start to get some heavy snow on the northeast side of this system as it pushes to the east. It may get the rain snow line through Toronto and London here, but it pretty much stays mostly snow on the northern side of this before trying to go coastal. More heavy snow for New Brunswick over to Newfoundland. And then as we head towards the end of the month, you can see we get a few of these systems clipping New Brunswick. Once again, New Brunswick, I think, might be the big winner for some heavy snowfall accumulation, as well as Newfoundland here with another coastal low. And then we just keep getting one system after another moving across southern Ontario and Quebec. That's going to continue with the heavy snow further north onto the north side of Quebec, with a cold eye building in behind it on April 5th. And here we go with our Canadian snowfall amounts. Most of the snow is going to be confined to the west coast and southeastern Canada here. Look at this. As we head through the end of the month, this is really crazy to be seeing this from southern Ontario, central Ontario, southern and central Quebec. Look at here over towards parts of New Brunswick. I'm going to zoom in momentarily. Parts of Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, over to Newfoundland here. This is going to be a blockbuster. Some of these darker purples are up towards 25 to 40 centimeters. Take a look at this. So, of course, you got the west coast beyond 60 centimeters. But look at here across southern Ontario, southern Quebec, New Brunswick. Look at this. Some of these areas up towards 40, 50, maybe 55 centimeters over the next couple weeks. So it could be a blockbuster snow pattern setting up here across southeast Canada. Temperature-wise, it's going to be a big story as well. You can see Friday here, we get a little bit of a cool spell in the northeast, if you can call that much of a cool spell, right around 50 in many areas. But there is the warmth down south. We're going to watch this push ever so slightly to the north. We do see some colder air across the northern Great Lakes into parts northeast. So it's going to be in the 40s across much of the Great Lakes region as we head into the weekend. Now watch this into Sunday. We do see that warming trend. It's going to push those temperatures in excess of 60. And many of these areas from the Ohio Valley southward to the Mississippi River Valley, you're going to be in the 70s and pushing the 80s. Here into the northeast, we have some 30s and some 40-degree temperatures here as well. Now Monday, watch this. Head of that next system, we push some 50s and near 60 degrees here into the northeast. Got a little bit of a cool spell here across the western lakes down into the upper 30s. But look at this. Tuesday, it's not too bad here. Things are pretty temperate. And as we head through Wednesday of next week, March 26, you get the idea. It is cooler across the lakes in the northeast. But by any stretch of the imagination, so far, this is not enough to produce, significant winter storm action. So it looks like more of a cooler rain with some of these systems, maybe some wet snowflakes on the northern side. Extended forecast from our hometown viewers, bring them to this grand for Susquehanna, River Valley, New York, and Pennsylvania. Yeah, we're going to see some clearing on Friday. We'll get up towards the mid to high 40s. Gusty winds up to 30 miles an hour throughout the day. But then Friday night into Saturday, we see increasing clouds once again. Rain showers likely on Saturday, maybe mixing with snow after closer to sunset. Getting up towards the lower 50s into Sunday, mostly sunny into the mid 40s, a little bit cooler. Monday, more rain is likely. We're getting into a rainy weather pattern, a little bit cooler than we've seen last week as well. And before we continue with more weather coverage, check out these amazing, awesome maps from my affiliate here.
I am proud to announce that I am now an affiliate with Trilogy Maps. TrilogyMaps.com, bringing you the most digital, customizable maps found nowhere else on the internet. These maps are simply stunning. It's an advanced layering system that makes these maps great for making forecast maps with ease or any other maps that you would like to display important information on. The resolution on these maps is simply amazing. From the detail of everything here in the States, and you can also create stunning, digital, professional layered maps from also across the entire world. And don't forget, in checkout, the discount code option, use my code, MeteoMark, hit apply, and you will get 20% off your order. So if you want the most professional, customizable, and affordable weather maps found nowhere else on the internet, look no further than TrilogyMaps.com. Link in the description down below along with your discount code.
As always, thank you for joining me for this edition of MeteoMark's Weather. Also, don't forget to join me on Facebook at MeteoMark, also Weather Northeastern, also Twitter at Weather Eastern. Don't forget it's MeteoMark.com, and don't forget, if you want to send me a coffee, there is a link, Super Thanks. You can smash that Super Thanks button or my PayPal link in the description down below. You can buy me a cup of coffee. Thanks everyone, share that video, subscribe if you haven't, smash that like button.